getting an Unhaul vibe from this shelf. I know it's terrible. Okay, here's two books I haven't read. So Lying in Wait by Liz Nugent. I did read this. I'm an idiot. I did read this. I'm such a fan. I don't even know how many books this is. I'm such a fan. I don't even know what this is about. So 3 friends living in Ireland, and what more do you need to know, right? Definitely way more books on this shelf. Hi everybody, it's Audrey and welcome back to Chapter and Converse. Today we are continuing on the shelf tour Unhaul extravaganza series thing that we've got cooking here. And we are on shelf number 7. And there were a decent amount of books jammed onto the shelf. So, quick glance, I've read some of them. Quick glance, I have no idea what some of them are about. But we are gonna just dive on into it as we do here. My instinct is to start strong, and I'm not seeing a book that I've read on the top of any of the piles. Okay, here we go. So I don't know what that first one is, so I'm gonna go back to it in a second. But Marion Keys. This is a major Marion Keys shelf. I've already got a little bit of a glimpse of things. So this is Last Chance Saloon. I haven't read this in forever, but I just love all of her books. Love all of her books. So once again, a story that follows some friends. It's gonna be love life and work and relationships and friendships. And she honestly just can do no wrong in my eyes. So I read that a long time ago and I loved it. Next book I haven't read, and this is Sarah Bladell, and it's called The Killing Forest. And I'm not gonna lie, you guys, I bought a bunch of her books and I haven't read them. And I've heard so many great things about her, and I just, again, it just, if it's not smack in front of my face or, you know, bright shiny thing, squirrel, I'm not paying attention to it. So this is a National Police Department. The author's from Copenhagen, and I want to say the book maybe takes place there as well. So it's an investigation, it's a series, and I've heard great things about it, and I own a bunch of them, so perhaps I should get cracking on it. Yikes. Another book I haven't read, but I totally mean to, and it's The Cheerleaders by Kara Thomas. So I read, it's right here, The Darkest Corners by Kara Thomas recently. I didn't love that book, like it was just okay, but I've heard great things about this. So this is YA. There's just sort of dark and messed up things happening, which seems to kind of be Kara Thomas's thing, which is kind of my thing, so I'm happy about it. So I will be reading that. Another Marion Keys. This is reflective as all can be. This is The Brightest Star in the Sky. I bought this book when I was in Belgium, and it has such sentimental feels for me too, but I really loved this book. This all takes place like in an apartment house, 1 address, 4 flats, 66 Star Street. And she just writes such, again, beautiful, but impactful, and she weaves in very, I don't want to say like dark subject matter, but very real. It's not just like easy breezy as much as it is easy breezy. There's wit, there's comedy to it, but there's real issues and real things that people face in her books as well. She's just so freaking good. I need to reread every one of her books. Next up is The Female of the Species by Mindy McGinnis. I did read this book. This is multiple POVs. This is pretty dark, but really good. It's YA, but it's like heavy, I would say, YA. And like the first line on the back is, Alex Kraft knows how to kill someone, and she doesn't feel bad about it. Very much enjoyed it. This is nonfiction, so this is The Bling Ring by Nancy Jo Sales. And this did get turned into a movie, which I saw, which I also sort of obsessively gobbled up, because how can you not? Sofia Coppola did it. And this was about that group of teenagers in California who broke into famous people's houses. So like Orlando Bloom and Lindsay Lohan and Paris Hilton, and they just stole all their stuff. And they like bragged about it and got caught on camera in these people's houses and went to jail, and it's amazing. Next book, I haven't read this one. This is The Clasp by Sloane Crosley, sorry, Sloane Crosley. And this is about people who are, these are college friends reunited at a wedding of one of them. And there's just some stuff from the past that obviously is gonna get in the way, and some stuff in the present. So I remember hearing great things about it, had to have it, haven't read it yet. One of my favorite books of all time. Kind Worth Killing, Peter Swanson. If you guys have been here for more than a minute, you've probably heard me mention this book. First Peter Swanson I read, loved it, recommend it to everybody. Multiple timelines, multiple points of view, dark and messed up people doing dark and messed up things. I feel like this maybe is where I coined the phrase, inspired by strangers on a train, strangers on a plane. These two people meet on a flight from London to Boston, have a couple cocktails, exchange some secrets. This was my gateway drug to Peter Swanson, and still my favorite of all of his books. So good, so freaking good. Another book I haven't read by an author I totally adore, and it's Chris Pavoni's The Travelers. He writes just like twisted, complicated, Hitchcockian is on the back of this. Books, takes you all around Europe, to Bordeaux Chateau, to a midnight raid in Paris, onto the Mediterranean. Will's secrets are catching up with him. Need to read it, need to read it. Here's another book that I haven't read, The Passengers by Lisa Lutz. I've heard lots of great things about this one too. Oh my God, you guys. With her husband's corpse still warm at the bottom of the stairs, Tanya Dubois, it's in quotes, has to go on the run again. So I'm guessing that's not really her name. The past can no longer be ignored, and Tanya races home to confront the darkest secret imaginable. In the tradition of Gone Girl and Girl on the Train, scorching pace, unforgettable heroine. Has anybody read this? Do I need to make this more of a priority? Please tell me below. Okay, let's make a switch to something I have read. The Better Sister by Alistair Burke. Love her. This is a standalone. You can dive right in. I totally loved this book. I'm kicking myself because, again, I do write when I read it, but I was not putting the years in. I know it's on Goodreads. I need to go back and like fill in that blank there. But this is about a murder and two sisters and figuring out what happened. And she just writes such great books. I really liked this one. Another in the Linda Fairstein series. This is Blood Oath, another Alexandra Cooper book. Love the series. Own the whole entire thing. Just dropped it. Okay, love 'em or hate 'em. I know, Woman in the Window. I really enjoyed this book. I just totally enjoyed this book. I do not enjoy AJ Finn. I did get to meet him. I really enjoyed this book though. I haven't watched the Netflix series yet. I don't have Netflix right now. I've heard really bad things about the movie. I can see how this would be tricky to translate despite the fact that there's like Academy Award winners and Golden Globe winners and all sorts of fantastic, fabulous people in the movie. But this book had me hooked. It totally did. I didn't figure it out. I didn't know the twist. I thought it was a great ride. If he stole the idea from someone, less good, but you know, I didn't know that at the time. I bought it when it first came out. I'm not gonna keep defending it. Little battery change there, so we might have changed a little angle, but we're still cooking, still cooking. Next up, Everyone Worth Knowing by Lauren Weisberger. She wrote Devil Wears Prada. This was her second book. I really enjoyed this. This was another just sort of like single in the city, loved it, hit the spot. And then, I don't know why I'm pointing at you guys again. Another Emily Giffen book. This is First Comes Love. This is a story about sisters. I actually first listened to this on audiobook and then I wound up picking up the book. I really enjoyed this one too. I really liked the relationship between the two sisters and the complications. Very much a fan of this one. Book I have not read, K.A. Tucker's He Will Be My Ruin. This is supposed to be dark and messed up, which, hello. So this is about a woman who's looking into her friend's death, which was an apparent suicide, but maybe not. And it sounds like there's a messed up man that's involved in it, and she's trying to get the police to open up the case and look into it. because she thinks something more sinister is happening there. This is just a journal. My mom gave me this, so it's to record all the books that you love. It's called the Book Lover's Journal. Book Lover Journal. Another book I haven't read. This is Tara Laskowski, One Night Gone, and it was the perfect place to disappear. I don't remember too much about it. Sultry summer. She arrives in the wealthy town, finds herself lured by the promise of friendship, love, starry skies, wild parties, but her new life might be too good to be true, and before the summer is up, she vanishes. So, yep, something I definitely want to read. Getting nowhere with unhauling. The Nowhere Girls by Amy Reed. I don't know what this is about either. Another had to have it. So this is YA, definitely dark content. So on the back, it says, we know what they did, Spencer, Eric, and Enos. We know they raped Lucy. We know they have hurt others, probably many of us. We know they will hurt more. So it sounds like a group of girls who take matters into their own hands and try to get some revenge against these guys and get some justice. So heavy for sure, sounds very good. Next up is Magic for Liars. I feel like I started to read this book and it's fantasy and I'm gonna go back to it. Oh, it also has this super fun inside cover. Love. But I think I just wasn't in the mood when I first started it. And I wanna say she just wrote The Echo Wife, which came out earlier this year. And I totally wanna read it. So this takes place at an academy. And it says, in the manner of the magicians, the secret history, Magic for Liars is a haunting story of identity and entanglement set against the backdrop of a magical academy. So yeah, I'm still totally interested in this. I just wasn't I don't do a lot of fantasy, you guys know, and I just wasn't in the right mindset for it, but I'm very excited to look into it. And I've heard great things about The Echo Wife too. So I'm super interested in reading Sarah Gailey. Next up, this is another great summer book. I feel like I need to make a summer video. So and it's Angels by Marion Keys. And this one actually takes place in California. And we're back with one of the sisters from the Walsh family. So it's not a series, but there's 5 sisters and they each kind of get their own book where they're the protagonist and the other sisters are in it. But you don't have to read them in order or anything like that if you don't want to. But in this one we have Maggie and her husband winds up leaving her, I believe. So she runs for the shelter of her best friend Emily, who lives in LA. And Maggie's coming from Ireland, and she's definitely fish out of water in Los Angeles, and things are not quite what she expected. So this was just classic Marion Keys, just genius, 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 Marion Keys. Next up is a book I have read, and this is You Should Have Known, and this is by Jean Hannah Korelitz. She just wrote The Plot, which just came out, which I'm excited to read. And this is the book that Nicole Kidman, Hugh Grant, HBO, I always forget the name of it because it's not the same as this series, was based on, although that could not be more different. The book is much more about grace, and the core of the story is the same. A woman is murdered. They're trying to figure out who does it, but the police investigation is really in the background of this. And this is very much about Grace trying to sort of pick up her life and put her life back together again. Whereas the TV show is heavy on the thriller mystery investigation part of it. So it was very interesting, but if you've seen the show, this is totally different. So you could go into this and it's like reading an entirely different story. I enjoyed it though. And I did part of that on audiobook too. Next up, this is a series of short story collections, which I never read, called Floored. I bought this at Book Depository a long time ago, and it's stories that are all intertwined. So it's every day told 7 ways in this unique collaborative novel. So there's seven different authors writing 7 different stories, and they all connect to each other. I feel like that could be good for like a readathon in some ways. And then next up is Nick Hornby's Juliet Naked. I saw the movie of this with Ethan Hawke and Rose Byrne, and I loved it. I mean, Ethan Hawke, again, love him. And I haven't read the book yet, but here it is. So it's got some musical influences. I just loved the movie. Had such a good time with it. Okay. Let me grab you 2 more Emily Giffins, which are also so grossly faded. Oh, from the sun hitting it. Makes me so sad. So the first book is Baby Proof. I think this might be my favorite of all of her books. And this is about a married couple, and when they got together, they knew that they didn't want to have children, and they were both on board with that. And then a few years into their marriage, Ben changes his mind and he wants to have kids, and Claudia still doesn't. So this is what happens when one person in the marriage changes their mind. And can you stay married? Can you be together? Can you compromise? How do you compromise on having a baby? So I really enjoyed this. This is her third book. And then I've got like this little New York Times clipping article about Emily Giffin that's in here. And then the next book I have is Where We Belong. And this book is, I don't remember this one as much. So this is about a woman named Marion Caldwell. She's 36. She's a successful TV producer. And one night, 18-year-old Kirby Rose knocks on her door with a key to the past that Marion thought she locked away forever. I vaguely remember this one, but I don't wholly remember it. But I'm sure I enjoyed it. And then this is a chunker of a Marion Keys. This is Rachel's Holiday. Again, I struggle to pick a favorite. I really enjoyed this one. And this is about Rachel. She was living in New York. She's another one of the Walsh sisters, and she winds up having to return to Ireland. She loses her job, and she winds up in Ireland's answer to the Betty Ford Clinic. But Rachel sort of treats it as basically like she's on holiday and she's at a spa and is in sheer denial over her addiction and her alcoholism and her problems. So good. So good. So next up is Lying in Wait by Liz Nugent. I enjoyed this, but I went in with, I would say, 100% the wrong expectation. So I expected this to be like a fast-paced thriller, and this is very slow burn, kind of more character study, even though there is a mystery to it. And I have Something Oliver that she wrote, which I've also heard great things about, Unraveling Oliver, which we may have already talked about. Yikes. So I enjoy her. She's an Irish writer, and it's a stunning cover. But if you're gonna read that book, just know it's not like fast-paced, twisty thriller. It's definitely character study, slow burny, which I already said. And then one which I am fairly certain is gonna be fast-paced is The Night Sister by Jennifer McMahon. I bought this a while ago and for no good reason haven't read it yet. And we've got multiple timelines. I have The Drowning Kind, which just came out recently, which I really, really want to read. And then all I've heard is amazing things about The Winter People. Multiple books by one author, and I haven't read any of them yet, but I'm going to. So I think she writes like kind of ghosty, dark, twisty. I kind of feel like Simone St. James sort of vibes is what I'm getting from the descriptions of her books, but I'm excited to get into hers. Next up is another Alexandra Cooper book, Dead House. This is somewhere in the Alex Cooper series. And then I have two Kate White books who I've also talked about on here a whole bunch. So I have Over Her Dead Body, which is part of the Bailey Wagon series, and very much enjoy them. Lighter mystery. And then this is a standalone Kate White. This is called The Sixes. And this is when she tried to get a little bit more psychological thriller, a little bit darker than the Bailey books. And in this one, we've got a college campus, and there's a secret society of girls known as the Sixes. And that's, you know, secret society is a buzzword. So I very much enjoyed it. I've read both of these books more than once too. These are kind of like popcorn, easy palate cleanser-y, but still like a little dark and twisty, and I enjoy them. Okay, so that was shelf number 7. Debatable whether or not it was lucky, but let me know if you guys have any opinions about the books that I haven't read or any questions about the books I have. But I'm definitely like curious about this if anybody's read it. I am optimistic that Jennifer McMahon is definitely going to be for me, but I am going to start with The Drowning Kind because I am. And I don't know, I feel like this could also be good when I'm in the right frame of mind, but it definitely sounds like dark heaviness, but also like powerful, impactful writing. So there we go for this series books, this shelf in the book haul shelf series. Oh my God. I need to go, but thank you guys for watching today and hanging out, and I hope you guys are doing well, and I will see you in the next video. Bye everybody.